But back to your conscience. Your conscience has a voice. It's the still small voice of the Spirit, we call it. It's actually the voice of the Holy Spirit being picked up your spirit and your spirit relaying it to you. Not your mind, it comes from your spirit. And many times we're saying, God, I want you to speak to me. And he's speaking through your conscience. You should obey the voice of your conscience just as much as you would obey the voice of the Holy Spirit when he speaks to you. Can you agree? I know you can agree. Can't you? You can agree. So, listen to the voice of your conscience. It's that still small voice. Remember the story of Elijah? After he had won this great battle with the spirit of Jezebel and Jezebel, he ran away and he was discouraged. And then he went into this cave and he heard the voice of a sound of fire and wind and all this stuff was going on. Different ways God speaks was the representation. But he goes, God was not in it. It was the still small voice. It's the voice of his conscience that God was trying to speak through him. God speaks. The Holy Spirit testifies, speaks to your spirit. And your spirit through your conscience. The voice of your conscience is the voice of your spirit. To silence your conscience is to silence your own voice. Come on. Does that make sense? Silence your own voice is what you're doing. When you listen, when you ignore the voice of your conscience, you're silencing your voice. Come on, how many with me? So, I want you to get it today. And so you want to keep a pure conscience before God. You want to guard this part of who you are. Not only does your conscience have a voice, still small voice that says, do this, don't do this. 1 John chapter 3, verse 20. 1 John 3, verse 20. Let's look at this as well. For if our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things. Hold on. The word heart in the New Testament, in the Greek, is spirit. Your heart is your human spirit, the deepest part of you. So this is actually talking about our conscience. So let's look at this in the Amplified Classic Translation. 1 John 3:20 in the Amplified Classic. Whenever our hearts in tormenting self-accusation make us feel guilty and condemn us, for we are in God's hands, for he is above and greater than our consciences, which is, it says, our hearts. You see conscience there? Okay, so let's go back. It says, and he knows and perceives and understandable everything, nothing is hidden from him. Let's stop right there. So what God is saying is, look, if you've disobeyed your conscience, not only do you need to ask forgiveness, you need to get it right. And God is greater than your conscience. And you need the Holy Spirit to come and let him cleanse your conscience again with the blood. And then tenderize your conscience. Start obeying your conscience. It'll become more sensitive. Start intentionally walking in the direction of God. Draw nigh to him. He'll draw nigh to you. And your conscience will start to get cleansed again. Okay? This is the big one, because the conscience, when you silence the voice of your spirit, you silence your ability to actually hear from God in measure.